morning. Welcome back to the Farmers Branch Chamber Chat. We took a little break for summer, and now we're here today with the CEO of Dallas Medical Center, Ruben Garza. Good morning, Ruben. How are you?
Good morning, Grace. Doing fine.
Good. Well, go ahead. I know you took over the hospital around mid or late 2019, and we've obviously been hit with a lot of things. Talk to us a little about your journey being CEO of the hospital over the last 2 years.
Well, thank you, Grace. 2019 was a very good year for all of us. And looking back at the time I first started here, about mid-19, 2019, we were pretty busy. We were looking at lots of opportunities and changes that we were doing with the hospital. It just reflecting back now as to 2019, it was a great time. It was a great time for us to prepare for the upcoming years. Unfortunately, when 2020 hit in February, I happened to have been in the airport on an emergency trip that I had to make, and I noticed there was a good number of people wearing masks and gloves, and some of them were wearing capes all over themselves. And as I was returning back to the hospital, I realized that things were going to change, and they did change immediately. And March came around in 2020, and we seem to have seen a different healthcare industry. The unknown was upon us as to the pandemic, and so we immediately started our process and trying to make sure that we had everything in place, keep everybody safe, our employees, our patients, and obviously the community was very important to us to make sure that they felt safe coming to the hospital. It's been tough. It's been trying for many of us. As the leader, you want to make sure you're prepared, and everybody expects the leader to lead them into these trying times that makes us sometimes wonder if we're all doing the right things, and we reflect back and ensure that whatever we put in place is working, and we keep building on those blocks that we're trying to keep things under control. When you talk about my journey as a leader, one of the things that I've always felt in the 30 plus years that I've been in healthcare as a leadership is the fact that employees look at me as, how am I running the hospital? How am I guiding them? How am I leading them through this unknown circumstance that everybody is facing? And one of the things that I have to really make sure that everything that I approach, I have to make sure that I'm approaching it without risk, without being afraid of making tough decisions that need to be made. And those are the things that resonate with the employees. And when they see that, it builds hope, and it builds trust. And those are the things that are challenging, but those are the things that I have to make sure that are in place with myself as well as the organization. So it's been a trying period, but it's been very rewarding to see all the outcomes that we've had up to now.
Awesome. Well, I've heard some really good things, from Vince and coming out of the hospital. So thank you for all your hard work for our community. I just want to take a moment. I mean, even over this last year through all of that, I know you guys received numerous awards. Can you tell me a little bit about these?
Sure. One of the things that we just recently received was the Leapfrog Hospital Safety Grade Award, which was an A. Very tough to receive. We had been holding on to a B for quite some time. We worked on it in 2019 and 2020. We continued despite all of the things that were going on in our lives, and we finally got to the A. So that's a remarkable accomplishment by everyone in our staff. The other is we've received several awards in health grade. We received some health grades awards in top 10%, top 5%, and patient safety, patient excellence awards. And patient excellence awards, I believe that was 2 years in a row. So we're really excited about that because it just indicates the the importance of what our goal and mission is every single day is to keep our patients safe. And that's what we thrive for each and every day. So we're very proud of these awards. Absolutely.
Awesome. So tell me, let's get back a little bit more to leadership. What qualities do you feel like either the leaders around you, maybe some of your staff or team have really displayed through this time of uncertainty and chaos that have helped you guys to stay strong and stay in a place of serving?
One of the things that I see that's really, and it's worked throughout my number of years in healthcare as a leader, is developing trust. If the staff has trust in you, um, they will follow, and that's one of the things to develop that trust. Obviously, you want to be honest, you want to be as communicating as possible, transparent. Integrity is very important in everything that I do. Um, I'm always on the spotlight, and so it's important for me to make sure that the the hope is never lost by the employees. And when you're honest and you're forthcoming on everything that's happening, you listen, uh, you engage in some of their ideas, suggestions, and recommendations they may have. I certainly relish all of those things because some of the great things that we've done here in the hospitals have actually come from employees, and so we open up those opportunities from them to build them as well. You never know; they may be the next CEO of a hospital. So that's one of the things that I do encourage everyone to participate in part as a leader.
Well, that was going to be one of my questions. How do you support, empower, encourage your staff? What are some of the cool stories that you've seen come out of this from a leadership level and just an employee engagement level?
Yeah, one of the things that I have always felt, I reflect back in my early years when I was. Actually, I had no idea that I would have been CEO. I came in from the clinical side, and my communication with patients was just everything. And so when I left the clinical side to come into leadership in healthcare, I remember the first days of the first years of my experience was having the leaders, CEOs, executive officers, allowing me to make decisions. And that's one of the things that I practiced ever since, to allow some of my leaders to make decisions on their own, to experience whether they're going through, whether they work or not, it doesn't matter. I think just the fact that they're engaged in making those decisions, and I support those decisions, that makes them to become a better leader. It's one of those things. I'm trying to recall who said in one of the books that I read, when you reach the top, you have to reach down and pick up those people behind you and lift them up. And there was some author that said that, and it always resonates in my brain about that.
I love that. So awesome. So next question for you. I know that you are. I know that you're into running. You're generally physically fit. What types of things have you had to do to nurture yourself in order to stay in a place to really support your organization as a whole? Because the demands of leadership can be tough, especially I imagine in your role over this last year. What do you do to say mentally, emotionally, and physically caring for yourself? What kind of boundaries do you have?
Well, everybody knows that I run. I love running. I've been running practically all my life. I try to put in about 20 miles a week. If I don't, I feel like I've left something behind that I didn't pick up on, and so that really is something that really kind of decompresses all of the anxiety and all the pressures that are around me. Certainly as a CEO, it's a 24/7 job. It doesn't go away. I get calls in the middle of the night, and sometimes those calls are uncomfortable calls where I'm not going to go back to sleep. So my health is very important. Eating correctly, eating the right meals, things that I need to make sure that my health stays well. But one of the things that I love doing, I love reading books. I read I read a book probably every 4 to 6 weeks, and so that's probably one of the most rewarding and comforting thing that I do is just to read and read, and it's very relaxed. It's very relaxing. So that's been very helpful. The other is just spending time with my family. That's something that I certainly am trying always to make sure that I balance everything out in my very busy schedule.
Awesome. What's the last book that you read?
The last book I read, and actually I have it here. I was it was ironic that you were talking about leadership because I have it here in my office because I'm actually thinking of introducing this to our staff. I'm going to put it up here for everybody to see.
Okay.
Lincoln, there we go. Lincoln on Leadership. How's that?
Oh,
I
that's
just
awesome.
got all these little notes over here that I'm going to share with the staff. You know, one of the interesting things about this book, and this is my second read, by the way. Interesting about this book that I'm reading on Lincoln, all the books in 144 years since Lincoln passed away, everybody has written so many books about Lincoln as a president, and you'll find him everywhere, even cars, even statues, and he's published everywhere. But one of the things that that nobody had written about Lincoln was leadership, and this book plays a great deal of the real true person that he was as a leader, not as a president, not as anybody else, because he came into this presidency almost kind of by default, so to speak. You know, his nature and his character was nothing that anybody would have picked him out of a crowd and said, "You're going to become the next president of the United States." He was a very ordinary person, very interesting background. But when you read the book and you find out his leadership style, and it really talks about really the honesty and kind of person that he was. It's something that I would recommend for all leaders to read. And like I said, this is my second read already on the book because it's that good. It is that good.
Well, I'm going to put it in my Amazon cart as soon as we hop off of here.
It's a good book. It's very it's a paperback book. It's very inexpensive.
So awesome. All right. So I know that there's a very real situation going on. What have you guys done, number one, to keep your hospital safe, your staff safe through the COVID situation? I'm going to kind of open the floor for you to share, you know, from your perspective of running a hospital on this, you know, very current, very relevant situation. And what do you see in the next 6 months to a year? How do we move forward?
You know, COVID is here to stay. You know, when I look back at all of the viruses and diseases that we've had for such a long time, they still exist. We've had obviously we've had medications and other things that we've done in healthcare to prevent the spread of those other diseases and viruses and so forth. You know, I keep telling my staff, you know, COVID is here and it will be here next year and the following year and the following year. It'll be part of the norm. We have to manage and work around it and prevent it from affecting us, our patients, our community. I think the government and the scientists and everybody is doing their best that they can. I think there's a lot of good, positive things that are happening right now. That will certainly make a big impact in controlling this virus. However, form is starting to take and affecting a lot more people and different age bracket, which is kind of interesting. This next go around, that the younger crowd is now affected more than the elderly population that we saw at the very beginning. But one of the things that I do see in the future for us is preparation. We've had a lot of experience now in preparing ourselves to ensure that we as ourselves are we're protecting ourselves. Without us, we cannot protect our patients, and so that's important for us to make sure that It reminds me when you're in the airport and the flight attendant comes around and says about the oxygen, place the oxygen on yourself first before you place it on your child. And so that's something that we have to make sure that we as healthcare workers understand the virus, understand the circumstances, how to protect ourselves, how to engage in the things that we need to do from the norm and the standards that we have to do. The second thing is, we have to get the information out to the community to protect them. It's important that the community understand there's so much information right now in the news media. You can just have anxiety. I actually don't see the news. I try to stay away from the news. I read a little bit about it on the weekend just to kind of catch up. But if I was to do that on a daily basis, I think I'd just be a nervous wreck. So I try to stay away from the news media, try to stay away from all the statistics. The statistics are changing every single day. What I do try to focus on is what's here in front of me, what's here presently in our hospital, in our community. That's what I'm focused on. And I think that's what we should all do. But at the same time, like going back to the community, is that we need to really educate the community as much as possible on the circumstances of this virus, and in order for them to protect themselves. And if there's any evidence of any sort of conditions, health issues that they may have, seek medical attention immediately. Don't let it linger too long, because this virus is pretty vicious, and it will come on very strong. So right now, I think educating the community is very important. It's going to be around for a while, as I said. It's 6 months from now, we'll still be talking about it. A year from now, I think it's still going to be around.
Thank you. That was definitely insightful. So, would you encourage people? And I guess kind of this is one of my personal questions is, I know that there's obviously a resurgence in especially people going to the hospital. Is this something that people should be going potentially to a primary care doctor, sooner for more immediate treatment so that we don't burden the hospital and that other people who need emergency care for heart attacks and hernias and whatever other conditions can still get care? What do you recommend? What are the preemptive measures that we should be taking in the community?
You said it. You said it exactly what I've been trying to preach ever since this whole thing started happening back in 2020, at the beginning of 2020. The minute you feel any signs of symptoms, go see your physician, please. It's important that you identify any underlying causes of whatever you're feeling. Take care of it right away without it affecting other parts of your body, or for that matter, whether you have another ailing condition that may compound itself even worse with the COVID. So it's important that everybody, please go see your primary care physicians. Avoid getting worse, because you don't want to end up in the ED. You don't want to end up in the hospital. The circumstances that we're facing right now is that we see a lot of situations in the emergency department where patients had this condition for already a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and now they come to the emergency room and they're pretty sick, and unfortunately, many of them have to be admitted and placed on vents, and that makes it really tough on the hospital, particularly right now where staffing is probably our biggest hurdle and biggest problem that we're all incurring throughout the country is nurses. And so, yes, I encourage everyone in the community, go see your physician right away. Don't wait, and then later end up having to come to the emergency room and bog down the system that we have right now.
Can we ask, what is your occupancy, your capacity right now?
Our occupancy right now is about 85%. And our ICU is at near capacity.
Okay.
And it kind of fluctuates every hour. Patients are still coming in through the emergency room. So it may jump up to 100% capacity or come down to, by maybe a couple of hours from now, it'll be 70%. It just all depends. Fortunately for today, I came in real early. We didn't have not one patient holding in the ER, which was really good for us. Many of the other hospitals in Dallas area have been holding a lot of patients in the ER. We are not holding patients in the ER. We're able to see the patients very quickly, disposition them however they need to be discharged or admitted into the hospital. So we have that capacity at this time. And that's been really good for us. That's a very good news for giving our staff a little break here for a while. But we do have that opportunity right now to receive more patients if needed. In fact, I had spoken to my CNO this morning. If other hospitals, our sister hospital, Dallas Regional Medical Center in Mesquite, if they need any assistance to transfer patients over here, we'll certainly accept them at this moment. We've got capacity right now.
So are you guys open and available for elective procedures? If someone has a heart attack or hernia, is it still good to come to the hospital, or should those people also hold off? Or what's the recommendation for those other ancillary needs outside of the COVID situation?
We are still doing elective procedures.
Okay.
We're still performing. Everything is normal in the hospital world.
Normal.
Normal. And I keep using that word to everybody. You know, we are normal. We will receive orders from physicians. We're doing outpatient procedures. We're doing caths. We're doing surgeries. We're doing just everything. There's nothing that we have held back or slowed down at all. We will continue business as normal. So we're very fortunate right now that our staff is safe and healthy, and so we'll keep those departments open.
Awesome. So what else do you have to say on the whole COVID situation? And again, there's no pressure, but I think definitely for those of us in the business community, especially running a chamber, our businesses, some of them are barely hanging on and they're trying to hang on. So what is your encouragement, to the community as a leader? How can we support you? How can we, still continue to do business, but do it in a safe and healthy way?
Sure. Well, the hospital's here for everybody. The hospital's here to treat and care for the patients in our community. And one of the things that I stress a tremendous amount is to ensure that our services are available for everybody. Our physicians that we have on campus, I can see the patients. As I mentioned earlier, the earlier we see patients, the earlier they will be taken care of. We certainly don't want them to come into the emergency room much more in worse condition than they were maybe a week ago. So it's important for us to make sure we get that information out. One of the things that we need to really focus on right now is that the strain that this virus has really caused to the healthcare industry. Many of our nurses have been overworked, many hours put in. And some of them just basically just decided they're retiring. They can't take this anymore because it's really put a big burden on them and their families. I get it. I understand. I certainly do that. That's why it's so important that we just keep communicating with the public that if we don't try to really wrap our everyday lives around the safety and precautionary things that we're to be doing, wearing a mask when there's a big crowd around, the uncertainty of somebody not knowing whether they have COVID or not. Just wear a mask. If you feel that it's more comforting for you, just do it. Just wear the mask. Protect yourself. When those things start falling apart, you're burdening the healthcare system, and it becomes volatile as we've experienced it recently with such many patients coming to the hospital. So we rely a great deal to make sure that they're taking precautionary measures for themselves, for the families, for everybody. That will help our healthcare industry function normally as we want to, and certainly keep it to where we can provide the best care we can for those in real serious need. And so that's my message to the community and the public that they should be on aware and on top of with this COVID condition that's going on right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if you have any last closing thoughts or comments in general on the hospital. I know overall you guys have done a phenomenal job becoming a cardiac care center. I know that your trauma level increased. So just for the long term, outside this COVID situation, anything you want to say in regards to the new and the future of Dallas Medical Center as a whole?
No, well, thank you, Grace. I appreciate this opportunity. There's a lot of things that are happening right now. I was telling my staff the other day, nothing's going to stop us from all of the great things that we're building right now. It kind of we had a little hiatus for a while because of the uncertainty of COVID, but now that we've kind of accepted it as part of the norm, I think now the projects are starting to start shaping into our system. We've got some great things that are going to be happening. As soon as they do, we're going to publicize them everywhere. We've got a new neighbor that's going to be building. We're actually going to be open in a couple of years. The 250 luxury apartments right on our campus, so to speak. And so we're excited about them. We're excited about the needs that they're going to have. And so we're preparing ourselves for their needs and for the community as well. So we're putting in some new service lines that I don't want to mention it right now because we're in the beginning stages right now, but there's a lot of great things that are going to be happening. I'm excited. I think it's going to be really good for us, for the community. It's fun. Those are the things that I love doing. And so I can hardly wait to hurry up and see the end product. So stay tuned for that. But that's going to be coming here pretty soon.
So awesome. Well, hey, I just want to say a huge thank you for you all being phenomenal members of the community. Thank you for being members of the chamber. I know you all do a lot to support our police department, our fire and EMS, and that's in addition to your own staff. So what you guys are doing is phenomenal, and thank you for making a difference in our little part of the world. It means a lot.
Well, thank you, Grace. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ruben. And if you all need to, you can hop on Dallas Medical Center's website. Right there, they have the ER wait time. They do have rapid COVID-19 testing, emergency care. You can get a lot of information here. And again, these guys are really available and accessible to the community. So we really are grateful for their support.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ruben. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining us for the Farmers Branch Chamber Chat. Today we are live from Lindsay Office Furniture. Little shout out to one of our new members who recently moved to Farmers Branch. We're very grateful to have them here. If you'd like to be up to date with what's happening with the Chamber, please make sure you check out our website, farmersbranchchamber.org. We keep the homepage up to date with the latest events and activities to make it easy for you to know where to engage. Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And reach out to us if you have any questions or if you'd like to be featured on one of our upcoming chamber chats. Thanks and have a great day.